Pudge, what time is
It's time for the Chubby Guys podcast.
Woo! Hey, here we are. We're back. Hey, the studio looks a little different today. This is the first episode without Pudge. So our guest Pudge today is going to be Matt Rosler.
What's good, guys?
Friend of the program, has already had an episode himself, had a couple, and we said, hey, Matt, how about a sit-in? And he's like, well, let's go.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun, and we're going to be going, me as the pilot instead of the co-pilot. It's a little scary, but I think we can fly the plane here. We'll be just fine. And we've got a great guest. This is long awaited. It's a special guest for me because people might not know it, but Joe Finch and I are actually. Would we be second cousins, Joe?
I believe so.
Yeah, he's first cousin to
I remember when Chad was in diapers.
Yes.
A couple years ago.
You probably don't remember this, man, but now my son is completely eaten up with baseball all the time, and we had a birthday over at my grandparents' house there, the Stensons on Grandview, and I got a catcher's mitt and a mask for my birthday. Hey guys, try the beardedpup.com. Some of the best men's grooming products available on the market. I'll tell you, I have been a big fan of men's grooming products my entire life. And his post-shave balm is the best that I have ever used in my 48 years. Complete facial moisturizer. You can use it on your arms, face, legs, wherever you want. The cologne at thebeardedpup.com will have your wife all over you. Guys, it's real easy. Just go to thebeardedpup.com, pull out your phone. It's really easy. Very interactive website. You can get on there, order a sample pack of any different product that you may want to try. I am here to tell you, this is Chubby Chad endorsed. I think that it is the best products on the market. Beardedpup.com. Get your phone out and go see it. And you took me out in the front yard and pitched to me.
We had good times there.
Yeah, I know.
I probably went in the back and launched a rocket.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But anyway, we've been wanting to get Joe on here for a long time, and we're really glad to have you, Joe. And this is a guy with how many years experience in education?
42.
42 years.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. And that's kind of where I thought, if it's okay with you, we might start there.
Sure.
I mean, first of all, you were born, bred in Jackson.
Born and bred in a family, educator's family.
Yes.
Just like you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, well, and your father was a longtime superintendent, principal superintendent.
Mom was a teacher.
Yeah, your mom was a teacher.
Yeah, I'll tell you, you grow up in a school family like that, you just don't get away with anything.
No.
I don't know about your parents, but I know you just don't.
No.
You don't even. I didn't even know what bad was.
Well, no, because they're there all the time, man.
I didn't even know. Like when I finally got to junior high, to see the first bad kid.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, look what he's doing. I didn't know. People could do that.
Are you allowed to do that at school?
Yeah. Grew up in education family. So.
Absolutely, and heck, and then you also married a teacher. Who's your father-in-law, also superintendent of schools.
Yes, absolutely. It just couldn't be more in our blood. And I have a son and daughter.
Both teachers.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So, all right. Obviously, probably what led you to that profession is growing up in Jackson, son of two educators. And did you know before you went to school that was what you wanted to do?
I did not. As a matter of fact, I remember going around saying, the last thing I want to do is be a teacher.
Okay.
During those rebellious years. And actually spent the first year at OU, like a lot of people, undecided.
Okay.
Went to OU Athens, and then just kind of, looked around. I knew I didn't. There were some guys in our dorm that were going to be dentists, and the guy's going to be a doctor, and they were all in the pre-med stuff. And I looked at that, and I thought, no. If it involves math, it does not involve me.
Okay.
I understand. I understand.
All there is to it. Not a math person.
Yeah.
And so just gravitated toward education and being an English teacher, and picked up a little science, which paid off because
Yeah.
it ended up turning out to be just a general science teacher.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. And if I remember right, man, as a kid, was there a drum set in your house there?
Yeah.
I mean, you used to like to get down on the drums.
I did.
Bit.
I played drums in band. I was a band guy.
Yeah. Well, so Rozzie's son is a drummer.
And he's, loves
Yeah.
the drums.
Yeah.
I was never any kind of athlete. Well, I played 7th grade basketball. I rode the pine for a year, and I never was much of an athlete. But I got into band and I got into drums.
Yeah,
and I played, and then actually, this is really embarrassing. Little known fact: in college, I was in a garage band.
Oh, nice,
And,
nice.
Yes.
What was it called?
It was called. I mean, what we called it, or what other people called it. I think Richard Lewis was in the band. I remember, and he had a poster of a drag strip racer on his wall, and it was called the Utica Flash. And we had our first gig, and we didn't have a name yet. And he just pointed to that and said, "That's our name, Utica Flash."
Utica Flash.
That was it. It meant nothing. And,
Okay.
Utica Flash. Who are your influences?
a lot of like Doobie Brothers and just stuff from the 70s. You know, we were really bad.
But you tried.
We tried. We had more fun.
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet the practices
the
were
boys
fun.
in the band. Oh, yeah. What, practice?
Yeah.
That was the second gig.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That was the second. Yeah, it was just fun, but those were the days. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's cool, though. I mean, so that would have been in the 70s, right? I'm not trying to give away your age.
Mid-70s, yes. No, I graduated from Jackson High School in 1974. So
okay.
College was from 74 to 78. Yeah.
Okay.
Wild times at OU those
oh,
years.
my
I've heard
goodness.
that rumor before.
Yeah. Yeah, they had just got over all the late 60s riots, and you heard all about that when you were still there. And, it was just a crazy.
You might have been at OU, Joe, at the time. We had Stephen Michael on the show. And he got a job where his role was to bring and host like bands that had concerts at OU.
Yeah,
and it was amazing.
That's cool.
Some of the bands that played over there.
Yeah, I remember seeing the Beach Boys and Convo, and I saw the Pure Perry League played in Mem Odd, where you're real close to them.
Oh man,
yeah, that's a hell of a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Some of the bands that have.
I know that I've been at Ohio. Didn't you take that
just
dive?
One of those weird afternoons when you don't have anything to do, rainy Sunday, and got to Google, and I was like, well, I'll be damned.
Yeah.
They've played there, and they've played there.
Yeah.
I wonder what that was like.
Yeah.
You can drive. I always say I can drive down Court Street to this day, and I'll spot somebody that I swear was there when I was in college. Same hair, really long hair.
Hey, though, now seriously, that is not a myth in my opinion. There are a lot of people that go to school there.
Yeah.
And they stay.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're
they
still
just
at
kind of
Athens.
stay. Yeah. And I mean,
One of my best friends is still delivering pies in Portsmouth, Ohio. we met in the fall of '94 and still delivering pies to this day.
Well, there you go, man. And probably still enjoying life,
And
man.
loving life.
Yeah.
Happy dude.
But anyway, Joe, so you start your career in Colton.
Yes.
You were telling us
Colton, Ohio. Colton, Ohio.
And do you mind sharing with how that went down? Because you even went to the place where maybe you weren't going to be a teacher.
Yeah, I'd kind of made up my mind I was going to be a state highway worker because that's what I did in college in the summers, and which was a great job.
Yeah.
It was just riding around in trucks with all your buddies.
Oh, yeah, man.
And I liked it too because there were people from Rio that I met that still know to this day, and on that crew and so forth. And I'd pretty much had just given up, on getting a teacher. Got to be August there, and Wellston, they called me up from the bullpen. I don't know whether there was some kind of mass casualty of all the teachers they had hired, and it's a tragedy of some sort, but they got down, to the farm team, and they called me in, and I took the job, and Colton was a nice little school, and there were actually cows right on the edge of the playground there. You could. I would be on playground duty, lunch duty, and you could pet cows that would come up.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
and
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was just it was just
That's
right.
a neat experience, man. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's not something that everybody gets
No,
to see.
right. Not at all.
What was it like? I mean, how was your first year in education, man? A lot of people seem to have good stories about their maiden voyage.
It was rough. I mean, the staff, I became friends with them. They helped me out a lot. I remember the very first day of school. I can remember this. I bought this tie, and I was all dressed up and everything. And again, it was very casual there. And they said, we don't budget cuts. There's no gym teacher, so your language arts, but your homeroom has to have gym twice a week. And guess what? First day of school, you have gym.
And you got your tie.
I had that tie on, and so I found in the back of the room one of those red playground balls.
Oh yeah.
And I thought, everybody knows they had nice ball fields there. Everybody knows how to play kickball.
Absolutely.
So we divided up, and I was going out there reading the rules, and kids thought I knew what I was doing.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
They thought this guy in a tie out there in a baseball field, and I sat that ball behind me. It was dug it out of that closet. You know what I mean by those old red,
absolutely.
dark red.
They make a very specific sound when kicked.
Right.
Great dodgeball, too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
They make a specific sound when you trip over it backwards. And I can remember laying in that field, looking straight up at the sky, wearing that tie, thinking, what have I got into? It was all in slow motion. And the kids are like walking up real slow, looking, are you okay? And I jumped up and said, okay, here we go, first pitch.
I blew it off like it never happened. Pro move, sir.
And, those were memorable years at Colton School.
Yeah. Well, that's
the
that's
play's
awesome.
not there anymore. I hate to see it when they tore it down.
Yeah. Well, that is definitely a cool place to start. But your career evolved into the science classroom and then into guidance counseling, which I think is really interesting. I had a firsthand experience. You helped Helena a lot in her college searches and things like that.
She didn't need much help.
Well, but I mean, the thing is, though, I think there's an art to that. And I know you and I had a conversation one day out there in the middle of the street about maybe some misconceptions about, hey, when you're making that choice, what are maybe some other things you need to think about other than, hey, man, I want to live in L.A. and go to school or something like that?
It would be nice if you could just do that, and say, I want to go there. It all depends on what you want to be, too. Now, like we're teachers, so, I wouldn't say, go to an Ivy League school to be a teacher. I just wouldn't do that. I'd say, go local here,
Well, yeah.
OU Chillicothe, Rio, those are two good places to train to be a teacher. If that's really what you want to do, I would put them up against any place,
Right. Well, and I think, isn't it, as part of your point on that, what it looks like coming out as far as debt and debt service and things of that nature, and scholarship opportunities probably. And,
you want to come out with as little student debt as possible. I always told the kids, if you have to have debt, that's fine. It's money well spent. You're never going to borrow money for anything more important in your life than that. That give, and try to minimize it as much as possible and get your most bang for your buck. Especially again, nursing would be another one that would come to mind around here, where we've got good nurse training around in this area, and I wouldn't go to out on the West Coast just to learn to be a nurse, with all that, accumulate all that debt and so forth. I just wouldn't do that, But some things, it's great. A unique experience this past winter. I worked. I don't know whether I told you this or not. I worked for Ohio State, and as a seasonal application reviewer, and did that from home. It was a nice little part-time job from home.
Yeah.
And boy, did I learn a lot about college admissions just by just literally hundreds of applications, hundreds and hundreds that I had to go through all last winter and judge them as to whether they get in Ohio State or not, give a recommendation.
Well, really, and applications to college have changed since we were doing that. Like, I was amazed. Like when Helena was doing this, like there were essays and stuff like that. Is that the kind of thing you were reviewing?
The Common App, yes. So that whenever I would open up a file every Tuesday morning, they download a file, and it started out only 80 applications a week, and they ended up with 150. It got there.
That's a
near
lot of
the
reading.
end of February, I got 150 applications a week, and you really had to budget your time out to give them. You wanted to read every word of every one. And
Right.
essays and transcripts would all open up for each student. They had it down to a science.
Now, not only were you getting, you weren't just getting them from the United States, you were getting them from everywhere,
Yeah,
right?
they were from everywhere. The ones I saw did have U.S. citizenship, but they may have
Okay.
been living at the time with their family,
Okay.
in all over. It was very interesting and learned a lot.
Were a
about-
lot of the essays they would send similar at all, or was everyone just
Some
like
were,
a fingerprint?
some were. They were. A lot of them were very heart rending because of what the pandemic did to families, and just. You hear that it was hard on kids, the isolation and stuff, but to see it in their essays, it was just heart rending, and you saw, it took that for me to realize what had happened to kids during all that being away from each other, and then they lost family members to COVID, which compounded the problem. And so a lot of them were, like that. Some of the kids are just amazing what high school kids can do now.
Oh,
they
my.
start their own charities.
Well, it's amazing. We've had a few guests on the show that are seniors or recently graduated. Mind blowing. I mean,
absolutely.
one young man, Grant Maston, he wouldn't care if I mentioned his name. That gentleman has done more
Yes.
now than what I've done.
He would be a good example.
49 years.
Grant would be a good
Absolutely
example.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I went to college, you just sort of picked where you wanted to go around. If you were a Buckeye fan, you signed up to go to Ohio State.
Yeah.
If you wanted to stay a little closer to home, you went to OU.
Yeah.
I remember taking an ACT, and to this day, I do not know what I got on it.
Right.
I don't know whether they mailed it to my parents or what. I just got a
Right.
letter that I was in.
And that was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
It was just so simple. That was it. Yeah. Now, last year we had 72,000 applicants for this fall at Ohio State. 72,000.
Wow.
So I was part of a small army of people.
And how many then do they accept, Jeff?
Well, I think it varies, but you're talking well under 10,000.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
get in
Yeah.
here.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is, that is. And I mean, and I'm sure they are there basic standards like before you even get the application to review that they've had to meet?
Well, that this made the job hard. Another fallout of the pandemic was the decline of using test scores like ACT.
Okay.
That's optional now. So it used to just a couple of years ago. You had sort of a cutoff in mind with Ohio State,
Sure.
and that cutoff got higher every year. And now with test optional, the kids can just say, even if they took it, they can just say, I don't want that being revealed, and I want my application to stand on its own merits and my essay and all that and the things I've done. So, there were a lot of kids that got in without an ACT, and I will say just the opposite. There was kids with pretty good ACTs that didn't get in because of the ones that did so well. Like I said, there's kids that run their own charities, and they're in every kind of extracurricular activity.
What are the main factors now? Because it sounds like there's been a little switch. I mean, obviously their transcript plays,
yes,
right?
the transcript is being a retired guidance counselor. I looked at that first. That's the first thing I looked at. Now, not all the people were, some people were just people with college degrees. They were not.
Yeah.
But I knew how to read that and what it meant to me. So I looked for, a lot of AP courses.
Okay.
First thing I checked was what the school offered, because you don't want to hold somebody against it
if their
the
school didn't have
doesn't
it.
offer. Yeah. Some of these bigger schools had 20 and 30 AP courses offered. And so then you see what they take, and their grades there, their GPA.
Yeah.
And they gave us rough cutoffs, very, very, just a range, to look at. It was a rubric that you had by your side on laminated paper the whole time. You had a rubric right there.
Yeah.
And then you switch to their essay, and you look at all their school activities are all listed there. And it's just a very holistic approach. And then what's interesting is with Ohio State, I don't know whether other schools do this or not, but every application was looked at by me and some unknown other person.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So you had to have two thumbs
and
up
if we
or whatever.
rated it the same,
Sure.
they were in. They were recommended to be in.
Yeah.
If there was a difference, it went to a third unknown person to see if they would break the tie on that. So it's pretty thorough.
Wow.
And then for all of them, we had the right to defer them to wait list into March. Okay. So what they do is that come March, if there's openings, then they go to that list and start going down that list.
Well, with could you even identify like what was the heaviest weighted thing on there? Or
they were all pretty between grades and school activities and the things they talked about in their essay. And if they had an ACT score, they were all pretty much weighted together. They were,
and like you could maybe let's say your grades were decent but not as strong, but your essay was awesome.
Yeah,
like that could help you.
Sure
like
could.
Okay,
sure could.
Okay.
And I saw some weak essays too. I saw one where a girl described on how to braid your hair.
Oh,
that was the essay.
That's not going to get you nowhere.
I thought, poor girl, does she know?
Be a Buckeye.
Yeah, does she know a totally bald guy is reviewing her application?
Yeah.
She didn't have a chance.
Well,
Just some mind blowers, though. I mean, you had to read thousands. Where are some mind blowing?
Just somewhere they were hard to read. Like I said, not only had they had stress and isolation from COVID, and then they lost family members, and then they had to move and things like that. Now, I throughout the whole thing, I wondered what it'd be like if COVID hadn't occurred. What some of the essays would But again, there was ones you said like Grant that they did their own charities and their own community service that they came up with themselves, and it was amazing.
Some jump off the page as being impressive.
Oh, yeah.
I would wonder. I mean, I look back to myself when I was that age, man. I'm wondering. Would I have really had the discipline to sit down and really put the time into doing a good essay, or would I have just wanted to get it done?
Well, I always joke that I'm glad they didn't have AP courses when I was in high school. They had invented a lot of things yet, and that was one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's time consuming and I mean the essay is very important. I mean, so and it's good to hear that like it's every word of it's being read.
Sure.
I mean,
Sure. Yeah, it took a lot of time.
Probably 2 sets of eyes.
I appreciate that. That's that's a class thing to hear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got to hand it to High State. It was first class all the way. The training they gave us, extensive training before we started.
Did they tell you like specific things to look for in the essay?
And we had practice ones. We had ones that were from the previous years. Okay. And they could pull up and had us evaluate them in training and practice and so forth.
Okay. So that's some absolute, no, that's not going. That's in the scrap pile.
Yeah, they would load up ones, and then we would have Zoom discussion on them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So all this thing was all from your house?
All from my house, right there on the easy chair. Oh, yeah, man. Right there on the easy chair. Usually with one of our cats.
Boy, there's been a new way to work, isn't there?
Yeah,
I mean, there's no doubt about it, man. That's changed everything.
Yeah. And I wonder how they did that before Zoom, because I would have had to go on to monthly meetings in Columbus. I'm going to assume that as little as just 8 or 10 years ago, they sat around at big tables up there with these paper applications.
They probably did, because everything was paper,
smoke-filled rooms, as they say.
Oh yeah, probably so. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that had to be an interesting experience. Are you going to do that again?
Well, you have to apply again, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know yet.
Would you like to do it again?
Possibly, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We're going to have a little baby in our house.
Yeah.
If I do that, I'm going to have to make a little office somewhere. Because right there in the living room, probably, I really had to concentrate. I couldn't have TV on or anything all those hours. I would have to.
I'll tell you, it kills me in the summer. Like, I work from home all the time. And it's smooth during school. But boy, in the summer.
In the summer, I bet it's hard.
And my kids are a little older, but and they don't mean anything by it. But like, if I'm on a call, it's like it eats them up. They've just got to see who I'm talking to on that Zoom, or like if there's all that, like I see one of them, it's one of those things where like I was telling Pudge the other day, I might have to come up here and take some calls from the bar, just set up here where it's quiet.
But I would miss hearing you on your phone calls.
Oh yeah,
I would miss that.
That's what I generally go outside.
Yeah, I could hear him from our house.
Oh, right on.
I live 3 miles down the road.
Right. Actually, probably only 300-400 feet, but but no, man. I mean, it's a whole new way of working. But And it's interesting. Education, I mean, went through a complete change, which, I mean, they were doing online school and things like that a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But man, when we started the remote learning during COVID, I mean, with all the Zoom and the virtual classrooms, and I mean, it really changed the game.
It did.
It sure did.
Do you think that any of that is here to stay, Joe? Or not?
I think probably if you can think of something positive from it, I think they tweaked and improved those components of online learning, and so kids that need to do it for remedial work and so forth, the software is now all in the schools. That helped, I think. It was because when I was there, that was something that everyone struggled with. Good software for remedial type courses, credit recovery.
Are you a fan of online schooling?
It's good and it's bad. For some kids, that just can't get to school or for whatever reason don't fit in, it's a lifesaver.
That's what I mean. Like when you're dealing with a kid that maybe, I don't know, they're getting bullied, or Matt, you teach SBH classes. I'm sure you've got some guys that really struggle socially.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think it's a good thing, or is it hard? The thing I would worry about, it seems to me like it's really hard to get that one-on-one engagement.
That's what scares me.
And your son teaches virtually.
He teaches online. Yes. And then here the winter before last, when COVID was really bad, we had our grandson over there at the house, and Jack, and we were his second year of preschool. Now he's lucky enough to have two teachers.
Right.
So he had a desk and he had lessons.
Yeah, you guys
he
actually
would sit down.
took some time.
But then, what a big revelation it was when he went to kindergarten and had his first recess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's
like,
coming home talking
great.
about, doing this and doing that, and he didn't get to do that. He missed recess there. I mean, he had it during the first year of preschool, and then he missed it all. He didn't get to play.
Well, I mean, I really think the social stuff is important.
Oh, it is.
Absolutely.
I mean,
it is.
And it's tough.
Yeah, it was a time when nobody knew what to do. We had to safeguard lives, and we just didn't know. And but
I think we did a good job of it. Specifically, I mean, I think all the schools around here did a good job. I mean, to your point, there was no other choice.
Right.
I mean, it was, you couldn't go. So.
Yeah, let's just hope that doesn't happen again.
Oh my goodness!
Ever
again.
Yeah. Right.
So I guess if I'm hearing you right, like you're a fan of online schooling in specific cases, but not for the whole mass population.
Right. And I've seen it make a difference. Even kids that were not going to graduate last minute get an online course that they had failed. Second chance there last minute and get their diploma.
Yeah, well, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah,
man.
It definitely saved a lot of kids. In my area for sure.
Yeah,
but it did. Yeah.
Well, I mean, but so talk a little bit about Joe. All right, 42 years in education. Could you name a few of the major things that changed over that time?
Well, when we started. The copy. I remember making copies at the copy machine. You had that weird white and purple thing that smelled
wonderful.
Yeah. And you would write out stuff on that, and then you go down to the hall of the teacher's lounge, and you'd fit that in there and close that clamp. And he turned that crank. It was like it was like a farm machine or something.
Yeah.
And you'd shoot those papers out, and then when you pass them out to the students, inevitably they all stuck them up. It was that cold alcohol.
Yeah.
The whole class was like that.
A few of them have a blue mark on their nose or something.
Thank goodness the SBH unit didn't have that. Right?
Right.
Probably wouldn't work
that could have been a fun class.
You had just chalkboards. You had kids with dusty erasers and
chalk all
over your
and
it was just as simple as could be still then. As gradually then computers started slowly. It took a long time though. Really, when you look at it, it took before computers were really used. And here our grandson, he came home with a computer here at the end of the year, his own from school. And Chromebook.
Yeah, my kids are better on them. They're all better on them than what we are.
I depend on
it's
my
part
kids.
of them. Yeah, I mean, they've come up with that,
right?
And it's amazing,
right?
The difference.
So there's that was a big change, and just little things and basic classroom though throughout my, I taught straight 17 years before I became a counselor. So the classroom really wasn't all that much different,
Yeah.
I've heard stories about back in the days that classrooms themselves, the number of kids were way bigger because there was just more kids in school. Oh, my
back then.
goodness. Yeah. Well, yeah. It would have been, I've heard stories like when Mrs. Coyne, my mother-in-law, taught, having 40 kids in first grade.
Oh, yeah. In the elementary schools, those classes were huge.
Yeah. That was common. Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, you might have a science class or a period with 30 kids in it, right?
It peaked out about that. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. There were just more school age kids back then.
And what is your take? I mean, here's the big one, and we've talked about this on the show before in different sports and kids teaching. Like, how have the kids changed? You had to see a difference, right? Or is it pretty much the same?
If I had to pick one, I'd say pretty much the same.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that right? That's cool. You're the first one that I've heard say it. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Kids were good back then. Kids are good now.
Yeah.
Kids, I think a lot of high school kids are more stressed out now than I know when I was in high school. I didn't know what stress was.
Not at all.
Stress was studying on Friday morning, sitting on the wall in front of Jackson High School.
Yeah.
My vocabulary words and spelling words. That was stress because I'd put it off till then.
Yeah. I do. Yeah. I don't think I did anything at home.
To really get somewhere, like we talked about college admissions now, there's a lot more stress on kids. But, as far as kids, you want to say differences in maturity, but, there were kids that when I was in school with that went home and worked on a farm, and they had done that since early elementary, and every night they did that, and every weekend and every summer worked on the farm, and they were, mature. Instead of working at McDonald's, that's where they worked. So I don't see a lot of basic differences.
Well, I like the way you said it. Like there were good kids.
There's good kids
and
then,
there's good kids now. And I think a lot of times people like to dunk on this generation, like oh man, they're lazy or whatever. Yeah. Man, I don't see that.
Not as mentally tough.
I mean,
kids aren't as tough these days.
I personally don't see that, man. I think that they're smart, they're bright,
they are.
They're thinkers, man.
And a lot of them they're very polite. Yeah. Kids anymore are just so so polite. The high school kids you work with, and I've heard people say subbing. I've talked to people who were never teachers that are subbing now.
Yeah,
and they're taken back. They were all like,
here we go.
And they're taken back by how good the kids are.
Really?
Yes, I've talked to several people like that, and they enjoy subbing. And it was not even on their agenda ever. They did. They retired from another career.
Yeah, and it's not like a situation where it's the kids versus the sub anymore.
Right.
Like they're all kind of in it together, man.
I did a little bit of subbing this past year, and one of the big differences, of course, with computers, the teacher posts the assignment when they're going to be gone. Teachers, they don't want the kids falling behind. They take a lot of ownership, so they post up in the Google Classroom what the assignment is the night before.
Right.
Well, I would come into a classroom and kids would look, got a sub, and they would flip those Chromebooks open and they'd be on that assignment. You didn't have to say anything to them. You just had to figure out who was absent, and basically that was it. And some of them already would have it done.
Now, was it hard for you as being a former teacher? Like you probably maybe wanted to jump in there and help or teach a lesson. It was
hard.
Or whatever.
It was. Yeah, it was kind of. To be honest, it was a little disappointing.
That engagement. Yeah, that engagement's not there.
Right.
Adult child relationship, building that rapport.
I wanted to somehow figure out what the subject, as long as it wasn't math.
Yeah. Then you're like, hey, go crazy on the Google Classroom there.
No, wouldn't touch math, but I kind of wanted to. Teach them a little bit and stuff, and they're just
tell them stories.
Yeah.
Some of the best parts about education, just giving them your experiences and telling them amazing stories that you've had in life.
That was interesting, their response to a sub, because back when I was in school, that was not the response. Substitute teacher, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It was a holiday.
Absolutely.
Let
the games begin.
Yes. Oh my goodness, especially middle school.
I'll tell you, I think it takes a special person to teach at that level.
It does.
and you've done it for a long time.
I love
you
that
like
grade.
that level. See,
I
I think it's all those kids. I mean, they're going through massive changes in their life, their body. They all look ugly. They stink. I mean, it's just, and they're such social animals at that time, trying to impress everybody else.
Sponges,
And
man.
as a teacher, you're like, oh boy,
They're not so much
I think
sponges
you got
in
to have a lot of patience.
Yeah. They're not-
One thing I can say about middle school kids, like they have not seen it all like high school kids, so they're easily impressed with things.
Oh,
They're
okay.
like science. They're you might do something for high school kids. Said, yeah, we did that. Another year, and
they've seen it before.
Yeah, the middle school kids, it's all new, and they're really excited.
Yeah,
and and some of those subs I was talking about were at the middle school, not the high school. The ones that said the kids were just so good and.
Man, my dad did it for a while.
Yeah.
And he loved it.
Right.
He was like, man, I love subbing.
Right.
It makes me feel like, but he made that comment. He's like, it's almost too easy to be a sub anymore.
Yeah.
I wonder, it's probably district depending.
Well, and he also, like, as soon as he retired, he did the online teaching for, gee whiz, I bet about 8 years.
Yeah,
With
that's
Ohio
right, he
Virtual
did.
Academy. And he had a lot of kids that were like traveling the world. They're violinists or tennis players or something.
Right. That's
and,
common.
And I mean, now that's probably changed, but at that time, it was, I just, education is something that's ever changing. And I like your take though, Joe. You don't think the kids have really changed that
Not
much.
that much. I don't think so. And I want to say there were good kids all through the years, and you're still good kids.
Yeah,
Still good.
yeah.
Plenty of them.
I
That
think
is an awesome take. And it's refreshing because, man, you don't hear that much.
you hear a
And
lot
even
of people.
Yeah, like I'm a little jaded sometimes, I think. I don't know. But then when I think back to my teachers growing up and my old coaches, back in my day, we could blah, 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 blah. We could do this and that. And you guys couldn't handle that now.
But you look back and they could, dude.
Yeah, they could.
The kids are the same.
And I tell the same stories. Well, you guys couldn't handle my high school coach.
Yeah. And it's all really the same. So, hey, you guys want to take a little break?
Sure.
Anything else we want to talk about with schools? If so, we can jump back in here. But,
Okay.
Yeah, I got one. I definitely want to hear about the guidance for sure. Like how that went. Where you got started there.
Does anybody have to
I'm good.
take a
I'm good.
Well, let's go, man.
Okay.
Ask your question.
When are we going to
brother.
get to mountain biking?
Well, that's going to be the second segment. That's going to be the second segment.
I can tell you, with guidance, my question is just rule like, I don't know. I knew two types of guidance counselors. It seemed like there was the one that was, you broke up with your boyfriend or your girlfriend. Come on to the office, let's talk about it. And then there was the guidance counselor that, hey Matt, this isn't looking too good. You need to jump up here. You need to do this if you want to go to college. And you better shift gears, sunshine. So. My experience is those two types of guidance counselors.
I've had to wear all those hats, and again, I was middle school guidance for a long time. So in middle school, you're dealing with. It's funny, those kids. It's more of. It's kind of like the kids in the back seat on a car trip. He pinched me.
Oh yeah.
She keeps staring at me in class. You don't worry about those issues when you go home at night.
Yeah, right.
That kind of, you get a lot of that. You get a lot of that stuff.
Are we there yet?
It's very disruptive in the school.
Oh, very disruptive.
Very disruptive.
Yeah.
And then, as you move up into the high school kids, you get into a lot more serious things and then, what they're going to do. And it was interesting going through the whole thing, through both were good jobs. I don't know whether you had to know more technical stuff in high school. I remember it was tough learning about scholarships and colleges, getting up to speed with all that. More so than what you dealt with, in middle school, you're dealing with a lot of mental health, more so, and dealing with, working with families and agencies.
See, that's a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, you really got to wear some different hats.
Yeah.
One minute you're trying to work on helping somebody get a scholarship or get accepted. Next minute you're talking about somebody that's really struggling,
Homeless,
at home.
depression, or
And
abuse.
That's that kind of stuff. I think is pretty much an all-time high right now.
Oh, there's no
issues
question.
for
No
kids.
question.
Really, really. tough on kids these times, and I don't envy the counselors that are there now. They got their hands full.
Joe, when you're dealing with like let's say a mental health issue, we'll just keep it at 31,000 feet there. Like, how far do you take that before you refer to?
Usually, I would, I'd have my contacts and real quick. Now, lots of times, it's right there in the building. You have mental health support right there, and they have certain hours that come to the building, and they can see kids.
Counseling,
mental health counselors that you can refer right then, and they're allowed to see kids so many times before parental contact and permission, and it's set up like that.
Now, when did that come about?
I had that since both school districts, since I was in high school, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I was a high school counselor. So we're talking probably mid-2000s.
Mid-2000s.
Yes.
And would it be, do they just come there like periodically? Or?
Different schools, different things. Some are on call. Some of them have regular times they come. Some of them spend more time in one building. You got to call them to come to yours.
So that's really good, man, because you might have kids that would not otherwise have access or something like that where you can get them access while they're at school.
Yeah, they can't have enough of those people.
Alexander has three different companies, right? Agencies right in their facility or in the district.
Right. Yeah, those are super important now. And yet the school counselors still deal with, that everybody's overwhelmed.
Well, do the school counselors handle, that to a certain point?
Yes, up to a certain point.
Refer or
up to a certain point, and then you got to, make your referral, because I know as a counselor, I always told the kids, I'm not going to pretend I'm a therapist.
Right.
I'm a trained school counselor, and I would, talk to them and assess the problem, gather information, almost like an intake person.
Sure.
And then refer them to, if they needed referred.
Right.
Some, not all do, but some did, and were greatly helped by that too.
Yeah. Depending on the buzzwords.
Yes.
What they said. Yeah.
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's that is one of the things. I mean, you made the comment. It feels like kids these days are maybe under a little more pressure.
I think they are.
And then you throw in the pandemic from a couple of years ago, and that kind of turned everybody upside down.
Sure.
And I think it's a hugely important job. I mean, to be able to, when a kid comes in your office, to be able to recognize, okay, I need to refer this. Yeah. Or maybe we can handle this, or
maybe we can keep us in house, or I heard what you said there. We're gonna go this direction. Let me make this phone call for you and get you somebody to talk to, brother.
Yeah. Sure. Do you think, Joe, that the kids are aware that they can go talk to the guidance counselors?
I think so. Everywhere I was, I think that was yeah, and they have a different role now. Like when I was in high school, the guidance. I don't think that's even the role of guidance counselors.
No, they were just making the schedules and
I don't recall.
It's like academic counseling and stuff.
Yeah, I don't recall anybody ever didn't know anybody that did that.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I don't think I ever went to the guidance counselor. We did scheduling. It was a mass thing in like in the auditorium.
Right.
You had so few tracks and choices.
It wasn't real hard to, but like now I would assume, like, is the guidance office an open door?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Oh yeah, most definitely.
And then, okay, so then let's transition. Like if you're working with them on, okay, a kid comes and says, hey, I want to go to college, then do you meet with them individually?
Oh, absolutely.
Like you schedule an appointment to kind of go through,
Oh, yeah. You spend a lot of time doing that.
Do you think that Joe, that our trade schools and things like that are underutilized?
They have been in the past, and I think they're kind of, that's kind of coming
back a little bit.
Coming around
Good
now
deal.
a lot. Yeah, I definitely think so.
I remember I graduated in '94, man, and the emphasis was, man, you've got to go to college to get a great job.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're not going, you're not going to make a certain amount of money. You got to do this. So, end up going to college, and I could have probably been better suited doing something else, maybe, but. It's just
they've added so many programs.
Oh man,
that those kids can do and continue after they get out of vocational school. And continue on.
Oh yeah,
definitely so.
Working on your apprenticeship at a young age, and
that's important. That's important. You don't want to force kids to go to college, and
Well, your success rate's not going to be very high.
they come out with student debt, and they didn't even want to do it.
Yeah, right.
That's-
Yeah, right.
You don't want to put them in that.
But they had
situation.
fun.
Oh, yeah, they probably
they had a
did.
good time.
Probably did. All right, let's take a little break, and then we'll come back, and we're going to get into cycling, fitness, stuff like that.
All right.
All right,
Sounds
take a break.
good.
All right, hey, we're back, part 2. Good to see you again. All right. So we're here having a great discussion with Joe Finch, and we've in part 1 we went all things education, 42 years of experience in it, and I don't know how many years you have in it, Matt.
Oh, on paper, just 8 now. With the actual life.
Hey, do you want to help develop your child's athletic ability? Or maybe you want to get off the couch and make yourself a little bit better? They earn the day at AP Prep. Look them up, apprep.info. Hey, are you a business owner looking for insurance coverage? Give this guy a call. You know him. You trust him. Jason Gillum, Gillum Insurance, 740-395-0190.
License, but I was at the alternative school for 12, so
Yeah,
getting
so-
on 20.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at 62 years combined experience. Hey, that was a pretty good conversation. But now, man, let's get into some fun stuff. Joe, as long as I've known you, you have always been I don't want to say a fitness nut, or
Kind of, yeah.
And I mean, I remember as a young guy coming out, you were always lifting weights.
Oh, yeah.
Saturday mornings in
Yes.
your garage out
in
there.
the garage, yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I like better than fitness is food.
Yeah, well, then you got a good combination.
That's the problem right there. Therein lies the whole problem right there.
But you at some point picked up cycling.
Yes.
And that stuck with you,
Yes.
correct?
I rode bikes when I was a little kid a lot.
Right.
That was back in the day where you just took off, and when you were just 5 years old,
Yeah.
come back at dark and
Yeah,
you
we'll
just ride
see
around
you.
the neighborhood on a bike. And I would ride to Annie's.
Oh,
That's where
yeah,
I'd ride to,
exactly.
because I lived on Dave Avenue. I'd go
Yeah.
down that alley. I mean,
Right.
really little. I would go down to Annie's, and
Yeah.
of course then. We got in the car and she'd let me drive.
Oh well, yeah. It's like why are we riding these bikes when Annie let us drive? Annie was our great aunt.
Yeah.
His
okay.
father,
My
and my
aunt,
grandfather's,
his-
and my grandmother's sister. She was a one of a kind.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Single. Her whole life, her life was the grandkids and the nieces and nephews. I mean,
we take a ride every evening, and I still say that got in my blood from Annie taking me in a ride in the car every evening.
Yeah.
So we did.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
then, and then at some point, she would let you drive.
Yeah, normally, yeah. She'd start you off at a parking lot.
You had
or
to be out of
something.
diapers.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
the rule.
yeah.
You had to be out of diapers. And
Did you get to go too? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Are you
shitting?
absolutely.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She would be like, "Well, okay, you might as well drive."
Yeah.
I remember the first time she said that, I was thinking, "Hey, all those stories are true."
as I always say, it was back before things were dangerous.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
They didn't have seatbelts. We didn't have anything. She just let you. We'd go through town, and there you'd be.
Well, and what's
Steering that thing on her lap.
And what's funny, one of my best memories of your dad, man. I struggled when I first started elementary school. I didn't want to go. Did not want to go, man. I mean, I'd be kicking and screaming. Well, his dad, who was the superintendent of schools, he would just come around occasionally. He'd come over by and he would be like, hey, just come with me, Chad. And he would just take me a ride. We might stop at a couple other school buildings or something. We'd take a little ride. He'd be like, well, you ready to go back now? And I'd be like, yeah, so he'd take me back, put me back in class.
That's awesome.
Instead of buttering you up there,
down.
Yeah, but he was always so calm though. You know,
Oh, yeah.
He was like, hey, just relax. You're all right. Come on, let's take a
would be
ride.
him.
Let's take a ride.
That's so awesome.
But anyway, I always liked bikes. Worked on them, did stuff. Messed with them, and so forth. And then I grew up in the banana bike era.
Right.
With the big ape hangers.
Oh,
I
yeah,
always wanted a Schwinn Stingray. I had a knockoff.
Oh, okay.
I always wanted though the real thing,
Yeah.
Stingray.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I've looked at those as an adult.
Thought about getting one.
Thought about getting one.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'll look forward to seeing Jack come running down.
Right.
Down the road.
from there, just kind of, I went through the horrible go-kart and mini bike years, middle school, and just ridiculous. Instead of I actually sawed the front of my banana bike off and had a local guy weld the back end of an old mini bike to the.
Oh my goodness!
And they had a bicycle wheel in the front and a little mini bike wheel in the back, and it had an old rototiller engine I'd gotten from somebody. And I rode that thing around Redondo Drive. I rode and it's always funny. My parents never would buy me a mini bike. I said they're too dangerous.
So you built one.
I built one. You had to wreck it to stop it.
Yeah.
And they said, too dangerous. We're not buying you one of those. And I'd have friends come over and they'd go, how do you stop? And I'd go pick out a soft spot and
follow layer down.
But anyway, got through, survived that. And then at some point I ran track as a senior.
Yeah.
And I got what I called Finch splints. It was worse than shin splints. I mean, it was. I went to the doctor and he said, "You are done.
Okay,
you cannot run anymore."
Okay,
and so I said, "Well, I'm hearing about this stuff's good for you,
Yeah, right.
And he said, "Well, ride a bike." The doctor, and so I had an old bike, and it just it was a jalopy, and I finally bought one. We went to Chillicothe because I'd heard they had a bike shop there, and I found a bike. I was like $200 back in I was out of college, just started teaching, 79. And that thing I rode for years. I rode several 100-mile rides on that thing.
Wow.
And kind of got into the road cycling.
Okay.
And they hadn't invented mountain bikes yet. We go out and do like the Columbus to Portsmouth thing.
Oh,
you
yeah.
train for that.
Yeah.
The road cycling, which I still do some of now. And you got to stay in shape. I do that. And when the ground's wet, you can't ride mountain bikes.
Yeah. Well, did you guys did you have like a group of friends that were doing that too, that you started riding with?
Yes, there was a group in our area here. And then shout out to Tony Thorne. I still ride with Tony.
Yeah,
we were some of the early road riders here, and then as bikes evolved, we came into mountain bikes there in the mid to late '80s, and then my buddy Thad Haynes kind of got a decent mountain bike. There would have been about the mid '90s.
Okay,
and I had one that was somewhat usable, and we started actually riding the trails then. Okay.
Was that early on in the trail riding?
That was early on, and Thad he taught at Chillicothe High School. Okay. So he got with the original Chillicothe with Jubal Davis.
Jubal's been a guest on the show.
Just north of Daytona crew.
Yeah.
It was up there. They had the shop, and he would, after school, he would do rides with them.
Okay.
And so I followed his lines and learned how to mountain bike. And I'm not very good at it, but
man, it looks scary to me.
It can be, and that's the only bad part. I'm 65 and I've broken 2 bones. It can be hard on you. And so I've slowed down a little bit, but I haven't, the frequency I've kept up. I mean, I almost ride in the summer like this, a mountain bike every day.
Yeah. But what you don't do is you're not taking a lot of chances.
I don't go off the ramps and the jumps and stuff.
Just
ride the trails as they come. And then I do I still do road riding. Like this past Saturday, we went down to Shawnee State Forest. There's a group called Portsmouth Connects that put a ride on down there, a really good ride. And they put a gravel ride on that we did. And we have special bikes just for gravel now.
Okay.
And that's like a whole new sport. And you don't have to ride where all the cars are. I don't think we saw maybe one car in 3.5 hours.
Wow. Do those bikes look more like road bikes with wider tires?
Yes,
or what?
That's a good description right there. It's a road bike with fatter gravel tires.
Okay.
And they're okay on pavement. They're not ideal, but they get you by where they shine is on gravel.
Okay.
And that's kind of a worldwide thing right now, because it opens up so many. We go up to Cited Trail State Forest.
Oh yeah.
There's forest miles and miles. That's a good thing to do when the trails are wet and you can't go off road, which happens here a lot with the rain.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you do this every day?
Pretty much.
How many miles you get in it?
I never keep track of miles more so than time. Now, my daily rides through the week, hour or so. Weekends, you stretch it out if you get some people together and, stretch it out a little farther on the weekends. To me, it's all about fitness.
Right on.
And there's events. Like last Saturday, I did 3 hours and 30-some minutes, which that's unusually long for me.
Yeah,
but the training I've done before got me through that.
Right, right.
And it was tough. That would be right at the edge of my fitness right there.
Okay.
You don't want to go much longer than
I'd like
3
to be
hours.
able to, if I could build up to it now.
Okay.
Again, I'm fighting age and 2 back surgeries.
Well, but now there was a time when you were riding competitively like that, weren't you? Where you'd train a little bit.
I would enter events. I wouldn't say I was competitive.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. But you were finishing the events.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
yes. Yes. I'll never, try to race again or anything like that. It's all about fun and fitness for me.
Okay.
I'm pretty dedicated to it, and I've got some nice equipment. It's very equipment intensive because you just wear stuff out.
Boy, it is.
It just
And does it make a big difference what you're riding on?
A professional cyclist could jump on a Walmart bike and ride circles around me.
Okay.
I don't know whether that answers that or not, but I go for durability is what I go for because I'm hard on stuff, and it just I have to have multiple bikes just so one will be working at the time because they wear out and easy. They're so lightweight.
Do you work on your own?
Basic stuff, tires, oil this, basic things. More complicated stuff, take it up to Jubal.
Okay.
For a bike rebuild, which I think I just did. I don't have that wall of tools.
Okay, that they do.
Just basic things.
Yeah.
I like to ride. I don't really enjoy fixing them. I just want to get out in nature. And
How many bikes do you have?
let's see. Well, what you need is N plus one, N being the number of bikes you have.
Yeah.
Plus one. That's what. You,
So you're always wanting one. Yeah.
I'd say I have half dozen probably.
Okay.
Yeah, right. And it's always changing.
Yeah. But you've got a setup for almost any terrain, probably.
Yes. There's yes. Definitely.
Is there ever a reason to ride a bike that's like not geared? Like
Yes, that's my favorite bike.
Oh, really? So you do have a bike with
it's called a single speed.
Okay.
And I ride that on the road to train. And
okay.
It's a blast. It sounds like it would be impossible, but it's actually a pretty high end bike. And a lot of the hills around here, you can get up and you learn to use momentum. It teaches you to not bleed off speed and attack the hills. And it's one of the most fun bikes I've ever had is a single speed.
Oh, so you ride it a lot then?
Oh, that's the one, like if I can't ride the trails and I'm just going to do a fitness ride, that's what I'm on every time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. And there, we joke with single speeds, there's 3 speeds, sit, stand, and walk.
Yeah.
But around here, if you choose your roads correctly,
do it,
we're really lucky. This area's got so many great back roads and stuff, so I know which ones to ride on that.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we live in an area that's probably great for cycling, isn't it?
Cycling and hiking, which is another. Yeah. In the winter, I love to hike when you don't have to deal with snakes and bugs and poison ivy and stuff.
Right.
Dennis Reinhardt and I go out and we explore a lot of wilds around here and find a lot of cool
I'll tell you,
things.
the pictures that Dennis posts, I mean, we had him on here too, and he was talking about that. Now, do you get the same fitness level or cardio out of hiking?
You can. When you're in the backcountry around here, and you're going up and down the hills, it is very strenuous, very strenuous. Yes. Yeah. Yes, they're very specific in their fitness, but if you're looking at just health, you get every bit out of hiking as you do as you do cycling. Absolutely. And
now, do you guys ride in the winter?
Oh yes,
you do. That's what I thought. Like you got winter gear, and
we got full winter gear,
the snow bike, the snow tires.
I have that. Now that's one of the things, a concession to age, though, that you can go down. You'll be on your butt so quick in the snow, even on a snow bike. I kind of shied away from that this past winter again. I've had 2 back surgeries.
Don't want a third.
Yeah, and but generally, just cold weather is not a problem at all. With some of the best bike rides I've ever done were in below 30 degrees.
And you trail ride on those too?
Oh yeah, yeah, sure, sure. There's a time there in the winter when the ground freezes.
Right.
Now that we call that moose crunch because it's very hard to get through. But it's not
is there patches of ice in that? I mean,
not usually on the trails. On the road, you have to watch.
Okay.
So I've learned where to go and where those patches are, and watch for. In the winter, you got to watch for shade because that's where the ice lingers, and black ice, where there's shady places. So you got to kind of learn to. And there's some days I just don't go out. If it's 10 degrees and tomorrow's going to be 25, I just go to the gym that day.
Yeah, wait till tomorrow.
You don't have like a stationary, like a Peloton or anything like that at home?
That's a funny thing. I spent a bunch of money.
I was going to ask him about the Peloton.
Well, not a Peloton, but I spent a bunch of money on a simulator where you put your road bike on it and it comes on the TV screen and you can actually compete with other people online. And a very, very serious. Some people do their entire bicycle training on those now. They didn't go outside.
Simulators.
And I hated it. I couldn't, even in front of a had a
Just
room.
didn't feel the same.
It just I hated that thing, and I did it like 3 times. It was exhausting. I mean, I had great workouts, but I could not do an indoor trainer. I just couldn't do it. So I go out. I'd rather pile on the clothes and do a quick ride outside than do the indoor training.
You guys have been doing it around here for so long. Do you stick to pretty much the same places so that you're familiar with them?
We do. We tend to. We have names for them that only a few of us would even understand what the name means. It may have been a person that lived at one time on the road.
Okay, yeah.
We have the Walmart ride, which just happens to cut through the Walmart parking lot.
Okay.
You're at Walmart for 20 seconds, but the whole ride is called the Walmart ride. And we say those so seriously, if someone heard us, they'd think, what are they? What are you talking about? I didn't even go in Walmart and ride around. We have so many rides like that.
Well, are you that way on the trails too? Do you like to try new stuff? Because I would think that would be where it gets a little dicey.
It is. We have the Gatewood Trail system down at Rye Green is where we call that our home field.
Isn't that on Bob Evans' property?
It's actually on University of Rye Green property now because it went back to the college. It started out the college. They sold it to the Bob Evans farm when they created that. Then it went back to the college, and so the college owns it. Okay, and we ride there. That's our home field. Nice, beautiful trail system.
And it's never going to throw you for a loop because you know it.
We know where to go there. You can pick hills. You can pick whatever you want there. Mm-hmm. Now we do go out to other places too, and that's probably like now in the summer here. We're going to start. Do
you ever go to Great Seal in Chillicothe?
Great Seal is the real deal.
Jubal and all those guys.
Great Seal is the real deal. It's probably one of the best places in Ohio to ride.
Really?
Yes, it's extreme. Really? It's extreme. It's you're either going up a hill or down a hill. Great Seal. There's very little rolling terrain here.
So you're standing up a lot there. I mean,
but it is awesome. They have a group that maintains it and so forth. It's a much bigger area than Bob Evans.
Yeah, and it's bumping every day, every weekend. People are coming from miles to ride.
Columbus, a lot of the Central Ohio people come down, short drive, and but it's a serious place. It's right on the edge of my abilities. A lot.
Okay, like you get
it's the edge of my fitness too.
It's a spot where you can get hurt seriously if you don't know what you're doing.
You can, and again, they've added so many new trails that some of them kind of scare me because I'm not used to them.
Yeah.
Down at Rio.
What about like Scioto trails down there in Portsmouth?
That's Shawnee.
Or Shawnee
in Portsmouth. They have SOMBA Samba has a group down there that has some trails. I rode down there one time, but we primarily ride their gravel down there because that's
where is that gravel?
Well, you head out 52 by Portsmouth West High School.
Okay.
And then you come to State Route 125 and you hang a right there. It's called Friendship, Ohio. It's just a few miles down the road.
What you're talking about.
And then maybe about 5 miles back, 125, you come to Shawnee Forest and State Park, and then there are gravel roads that go every direction. Like I said, we rode 3.5 hours. It maybe saw 1 or 2 cars, and that was it.
Now, Scioto County, boy, that's no place to be. I'd get a little nervous. Like, I'm a little too deep out in those ways. those gravel roads.
Yeah.
Matt's a Shawnee State guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's some interesting times.
Yes. We've never had an issue, never seen Bigfoot.
Good.
You know, we've seen some hollows back there that were sketchy. You know, when you see those trailers that are kind
Folks
of blown
squatting.
up, and stuff. You know, but you know, generally speaking, around here, the only problem you have is just stupid dogs, and they're not mean dogs.
And they're good for the intensity. I bet,
Yeah,
on that
that's
work.
true.
They probably
But
pick it up a
they're
little
just,
bit.
you know, like, oh, look at that guy. I want to be there. I want to run. I want to. Oh,
Hey,
maybe
what do you do? I mean,
Mace
do you keep mace?
No, I did that once and sprayed myself, much to the dog's entertainment.
Take a few milk bones with you or
You're
something.
going down the
The
road.
way you can forget about the wind.
Yeah.
You gotta. You've seen those memes where someone's calculating all that algebra and stuff. Yeah, and you know, I'll show you. The dog's just like, what's wrong with that guy? We were running here. What happened to you?
Yeah, we were playing a game.
Yeah, but you got to watch. So they'll get in your front wheel. They don't need to be run over.
No.
I've only had one bite my heel, and I think he was just overcome with trying to run and spin his head like that. But it wasn't mean, but he did bite the shoe. But you got to watch. Is there a hazard as far as getting in the way? That's the biggest problem. I've seen people.
It's probably not a good idea to stop.
Well, actually, I did that finally once. Some big dog, like a Doberman, had chased us, and I just said, "This is the day I'm going to stop," and he didn't know what to do. He just sat.
Confused him.
Totally short-circuited his motives there.
He's like, wait, the chase is
Yeah, I
over?
think this
What?
guy's a human, you know? Which is what we do a lot of times. We just say, stop. We talk to them like they're our dogs.
Yeah.
And then I've seen them just lock up and come to us, you sound like their owner.
Do you guys always generally go in groups? Like more than one? Is it dangerous to go by yourself? Or
Not really. I never feel. I've got routes that are close in. I've got a cell phone. I've got this watch that is supposed to call relatives if I wreck, and the only time it ever does it's when I take the trash out for some reason. I can't figure that out. I told you I'm not a tech person. Every time I do our garbage cans, it'll say, "I see you falling."
What kind of watch is that?
It's just a regular Apple Watch,
Apple
but
Watch,
you set it for a fall.
Oh, okay.
And I've had wrecks on my bike. Apparently, I don't lay there long enough.
Oh, okay.
In the woods for it to call anybody.
Yeah.
And I jump up make sure no one saw.
I mean, are wrecks pretty frequent? I mean,
If you're going to mountain bike, you're going to go down.
Okay.
Sometimes they're not bad. I've broken 2 bones. I broke a leg and I broke a collarbone. And that's going to happen. And you don't ever
were
want
you trying to do extreme stuff? Or, I mean...
Not really. No, it's always near the end of the ride, and your mind is wandering, and you're thinking about going to the store and getting something when you're done. That's both wrecks happen then. That's the most dangerous time.
You kind of lose engagement.
Yep.
You do. You're thinking about what you're going to do next, what time it is, and so forth, and that's when both times.
Well, I got to figure that you kind of learn how to fall if you've been riding long enough, maybe. Or I mean, my dad banned me from a bike when I was in the 6th grade because I had broken 2 arms, had a concussion, broke my ribs.
Yeah.
Remember, I was terrible.
You were that
on the bike.
guy.
I always.
Well, I'm not really
rowdy guy on that bike.
Bad. Yeah.
You learn a certain intuition on a mountain bike. You know about your weight shift and so forth. And not to put the front brake on when you're going around a corner and things like that, or going straight down a hill. I have never been that skillful though. I've never, you
don't go extraordinarily fast.
I can't ride wheelies and stuff like that, and I get by, but I don't. The older I get, the less chances I take.
Okay, smart. Okay.
Yeah, but you still get a heck of a workout though. The cardio is.
So how long did it take you to get used to mountain biking? Or like when you first went out, when Thad's like, "Hey man, you gotta try this mountain."
You're wrecking all over the place at first because ironically, it's because you're going too slow.
Well, because you've been road cycling.
You have the fitness, but you don't have the skill. So that you're.
Hey guys, on behalf of the Chubbies, huge thanks to Geiger Brothers Construction. Give them a call at 740-286-0800. They've been great community supporters, and they are a friend of the Chubby program, so thank you, Geiger Brothers Construction. My God, as a parent of an 8-year-old with a family and moving through life, the best thing I ever did was download the McDonald's app. What a breeze. Order for your family. Pull up. They bring it to you. Easy. Download the app today from McDonald's.
Your intuition is to slow way down.
Yeah.
And look right in front of you and try to dodge everything.
Yeah.
Well, what you learn if you stay with it is you look about 10, 15 feet out in front of you and go faster. And the bike, you picture it like this. If you jumped off the bike and threw it forward, it would go over all that terrain on its own.
Right.
Well, as long as it had momentum. And so as long as you got
Right.
your momentum, you can make it over stuff. And you wreck a lot learning because you're going too slow and you're looking right down at your front wheel, trying to dodge every little thing. You just let the bike take care
Let the
of
bike work.
Yeah, let the bike work right over.
But man, that had to be an adjustment
It
at
was.
first. But like, did you see it like first time? You're like, man, this is pretty cool.
Yeah,
Like,
oh yeah, it's
you got on right on board.
the setting is so neat too, out in the woods like that.
Man,
you know.
I mean, that's the
Yeah.
thing. I mean,
The
what I
setting
miss,
is
man.
just beautiful, just beautiful. But road cycling's got its moments too, and particularly in the state forest. It's really
Yeah.
really pretty and so forth. There was things last Saturday. I would come around a switchback turn in that gravel, and I would look up ahead of me, and I couldn't even see sky. The road was so steep for so long.
Wow.
It was just this dark wall of gravel, and that I thought there's got to be a top to this somewhere.
wow.
And
What do you do? Just gear down and
Yes,
and
that's what I do.
and kick.
I gear
Or
down.
do you stand up? I mean,
Usually, I hardly stand at all on the bike. Usually use the gears. And, luckily I had low enough gears.
Yeah.
Just patience more than anything.
Okay.
You got to,
don't get ahead of yourself.
yeah, I watch the heart rate monitor. I look at that and I try to keep it like Saturday, I was trying to keep it like under 145, which is a good place for me to stay under.
Yeah.
At my age, that's still pretty high, but I'm used to that.
Right,
And,
right.
Your max is supposed to be 220 minus your age, they say, but I think if you've trained all your life, you have a
Yeah, sure.
higher max, I think, instead of the one.
What kind of bike do you have? The gravel one. What kind is that?
I have a Salsa Cutthroat,
Salsa.
and it's a bike that was designed for a race called the Tour Divide race, where you're self-support. On it, you can mount all kinds of gear stuff, which
Oh.
I don't do because I don't do that kind of stuff. But to sustain yourself for a multi-day race, but it's real lightweight. It probably only weighs like 23 pounds or so. And
And it doesn't have the front suspension.
no, it's a rigid
It's
bike.
just-
So the drop bar is like a road bike, but it's actually a mountain bike frame. It's a carbon mountain bike frame. And it's a 1x11, which means there's only one cog up front and 11 in the back, which is common.
Okay.
Very simple drivetrain.
Now, do you have is the front tire bigger generally for this?
On mountain bikes, the front tire is usually bigger.
Okay.
On this bike, no, they're both the same. They're about,
Okay.
I'd say it's about a 1 3/4 inch tire, probably on
Okay.
the gravel.
So it's wider, and then it's just it helps. It just handles that loose gravel better.
Yeah, very specific tread. It's file tooth type tread just for gravel.
Does it make it feel like you're just pedaling on cement?
Not really, because you gotta on the downhills on those gravel, you gotta watch because it's like marbles.
You go out
Oh,
from under.
Yeah, you really. I do. I slow way down. There's people bomb those hills and stuff. It's scary on that gravel. You can go right off the edge.
Yeah.
Now our mountain bikes, 2.5, 2.6 in the front, and like 2.4 in the back. And I have one mountain bike, a hardtail, that's 2.8 front and rear. It's real wide.
Okay.
And I have one that's like 4.5, the snow one.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 But you say you kind of retired from the snow.
I don't know. I may take it up again. When you're wrecking the snow on the trail, you're usually not going very fast.
Yeah.
But on the roads where you got to watch because they're inevitably when you're cruising along on some beautiful snow-covered road, there's ice somewhere underneath it,
Yeah.
and you go down so fast that you don't even. I did that this winter. I did that. I hit snow at Soda Trail that had ice under it. And how in the world this 65-year-old body survived that without even a bruise or anything, I don't know. But I went down and was the bike shot out one way. It was looked like a yard sale of bike stuff.
Well, and that that would wake you up.
I wasn't even sore. And I still don't know what happened there.
The 65.
Somebody's looking out for me.
65 though, and like I overheard earlier, you still lift a lot.
I still do. I still work out. Yeah.
And that's. Do you still you use a lot of weights? Are you getting into stretching more as you get older?
Yes and yes. I don't do a lot of like deadlift and heavy squats because of the back surgery. I do a lot of core exercises for that. I do a lot of machine upper body things. It helps to be seated and support my back. I do a 30-minute gym workout.
Gotcha.
2 or 3 times a week. That's just one thing right after another. But that helps on the injuries too.
Yeah, now, do you go to
Absolutely
the Y to do that?
Yes,
Joe,
go to the
or-
Y.
yeah,
Yes,
okay.
always have gone here. That helps on the injuries, like on the ice there. If you've bolstered yourself up a little bit, that helps. Now, most cyclists do not have a body like mine. I mean, I make 2 of the normal bicycle people.
Right.
They're usually very thin and almost no upper body because it's more efficient that way.
Right.
Yeah, I always said if I had a skinny upper body but my legs, I could be a pro cyclist. That's about the way they are.
Have you ever? I know Thad, and you are close, and he does a lot of the
CrossFit?
the CrossFit.
Oh, he's
training.
big
So
into
have you ever tried any
Just
of that?
elements of it, not the CrossFit. He and I joke about that all the time.
Oh, okay.
It just elements of it. I'll do some kettlebell things and stuff like that, and maybe kind of high intensity rapid training, but not the kind of CrossFit as a sport like that.
Okay.
But I fully support functional fitness. I think. It's
Oh
a good
man,
thing.
yeah.
That's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a good thing. Yeah. That's something you can carry. You can do that all
You can do that your whole life.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
Sure.
doesn't cost any money. You can,
Sure.
push-ups, planks, like you said earlier,
yeah.
pull-ups.
Yeah, planks. I do them, but I hate them. I'll tell you. I always say for people whose lives seem to be passing by too quickly, they need to do planks.
because that'll slow time
It
down.
slows time down. You do a 1 minute plank.
Yeah.
And you get up from that.
Longest minute of your life.
Oh my God. Just sitting there tremoring. I never get any better at them either. That's the bad part.
Those seconds go slower and
Yeah,
slower.
never get any better at those things. I do them, but it's just some of the hills around here on bikes. We always say we never get any better at them.
Well, I mean,
They hurt just as bad, but we're lucky because hills are what that's what gives you fitness.
Oh my, yeah.
That's where the money's at.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, thank you very much for coming on and sharing all this.
No problem.
Is there anything
Enjoyed
we
it.
didn't cover you'd like to talk about? Or are you going to save it for the next time?
Well, I got to talk. I'm going to July 6th. I'm going to take my first flight lesson in a
You're going to be a pilot.
1930s era J3 Cub.
Good
My
for
wife
you.
wife got me that for Christmas.
That is
And I'm
awesome.
going to an old-fashioned grass strip called Red Stewart Field. And I used to fly model planes, and in one whole winter,
I remember that.
One whole winter, I built a model of this plane, and I studied it historically.
Yeah.
And I've always been obsessed with that airplane, and so I'm going to take a lesson in it. Now, I'm afraid of heights.
So you really don't want to be a pilot. You just want to do one
I don't
flight
know.
in this.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I love to fly. We fly
Yeah.
on vacation all the time. It's the most relaxing thing ever. But I have a fear of heights in like mountains and bridges. I can't do
really?
them. I can't do them. Someone else has to drive. Yeah. I can't. But I'm not that way in a plane.
I'm sorry, you can't even drive over a bridge. You have to have somebody else drive across.
If I'm used to the bridge,
Oh, okay.
like the Silver Bridge at Galplis, I've done that enough. I don't like it, but I can it's done.
Every time I see that silver bridge, man,
Yeah,
I
I was alive when that thing fell down, which is probably why I'm like I am.
but I heard all the stories,
yeah.
and they're.
But if we're like, say, like we're in Florida, and you'll be driving along, and you see a bridge on the horizon, one of those big ones that goes over the intercoastal. I can't drive that. No, no, I can't drive that. I let somebody else drive over it. And the West Virginia Turnpike, I used to be able to just drive down that with one hand in a Honda Civic with bikes on the back. I can't. It's hard to even ride on that for me now.
Is that
I
right?
have vertigo. I feel a dizziness on that road. You can't do it.
So who you're getting your first lesson?
Yeah.
Do you know who's going to give it to you? Or?
I do not. I've not met the instructor.
Where is this?
It's you go down to the outlet malls and then turn left and head towards Cincinnati for about a half an hour, 20 minutes, and there's a little burg there that has a grass strip airport that specializes in that.
That's
and
awesome.
when I called to make the appointment the other day, it was hard to book one. There's that many people.
I
doing that.
imagine.
Yeah, there's that many people.
Flying's
Yeah.
pretty expensive.
Well, and
People
I
gotta
mean,
look at their
in
license.
one of those planes, man.
Yeah, this is stick and rudder. You know, there's no steering wheel. It's a stick and a rudder, and it's a tail dragger, so that it's got two main wheels up front, and then a little tiny tail wheel with the plane sits.
Two cockpits.
Tandem. One,
one in the front, one in the back.
The pilot sits in the back, and the passenger sits in the front.
Yeah,
and it's got a 65 horsepower Continental engine that you start by hand.
Yeah,
somebody has to get out and flip the prop. It's as simple as aviation goes.
Biplane?
No, this is a monoplane, a yellow Piper Cub.
Okay.
They made thousands of them, and then when World War II came along, they made them green, and they used them for observation planes.
Okay.
And they called them L-19s. And then when the war was over, there was all these trained pilots and all these Cubs now, and they distributed, and that was like the future. Everybody was going to fly a plane in their driveway.
Oh man!
So that this field is left over from when they just used grass down there. Yeah.
So this is it, July 6th. This is your
6th.
first. This is the cool. Now, do you have to have any kind of pre-type? Like you got to show this pilot, hey man, I've done. This, and this.
They have a thing called a sport license now. They've made it actually easier to be a pilot. And you get so many hours like that, dual time, and then finally you solo. And you do pass, a modest physical. And then you can get your sport license. And you have to fly those lightweight kind of planes. You can have one passenger, daylight, visual flying reference only. No instrument. You can't go up and fly in the clouds or bad weather or anything.
And how high are you allowed to take one of these?
I don't know. The plane itself is somewhat limited. It's open windows. There's no oxygen, not pressurized.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
People fly Cubs very low.
Okay.
They hedge hop in them. They
just
fly
above the trees.
You're maybe 900 feet, 1,000 feet flying around in a Cub. Just summer day like that, with a stick and rudder. And
how long is the flight?
You do it in hour segments. So I've got like 2 hours worth of gift there.
Wow, that'd be fun.
I'd love to own one someday.
Oh yeah,
They're
that'd be
expensive
fun.
to own a plane, with the hangar fees and the annuals.
Oh yeah,
you can rent theirs though, so that's my plan. To get the license, just go down and rent theirs.
Rent theirs.
Yeah,
oh, man, that's cool.
So that's coming up. Then,
well, you're going to have to come back and tell us.
I will.
That's going to be
Guy with vertigo takes a flight.
Takes a flight lesson. That's awesome. I can't wait to hear that story.
That's going to be.
I'll come back and tell.
All right, there's the teaser for the next Joe Finch
there it is.
Yeah. Well, Joe, thank you for your time.
All right,
Matt, thank you for your time, buddy.
Honored and humbled. It was awesome. I enjoyed it.
We had a great time. Guys, check us out. Like and subscribe. Chubby Guys Podcast. Check out our merch. It's pretty cool. Take care. We'll see you soon.
The swimsuit is awesome.
Oh, man.
Those trunks, man.
Yeah, ocean approved. Yeah, they're there. Take care, guys.
See ya.